So I am probably the last content creator in the board game community to make a top 10 video of 2025. But even if no one watches this, I still wanted to make this video because I want to be able to look back a few years from now and see how my taste in games has evolved, whether I still feel the same way about these games that I really enjoyed in 2025, and so on. So even if no one watches it, I still need it to be able to look back on a few years from now. So just a few disclaimers as always. I am someone who has a demanding full-time day job. I, don't do content creation for a living. I don't have as much time to play board games as I would like. I have a pretty busy life. I do stuff outside of board games. I play pickleball. I take care of stray cats every day, which eats up at least an hour of my day every single day. So there's a lot more going on in my life. I don't have a partner, so I don't live with someone with whom I can play board games, when I'm not going out to a game night or having a game night at my house. So I am limited, to only playing games at game nights or conventions, and that's essentially it, or on Board Game Arena, but I don't really count Board Game Arena as plays. Even on my BG Stats app, I don't keep track of plays or scores for games that I play on Board Game Arena. And as always, there's going to be copies of games that I received as review copies that will appear in this list, so you can take any game that's on this list with a grain of salt, because, of course there might be some bias that appears, but I try really hard to not let any biases affect my opinions on games. And if you watch my content regularly, you will know that I have given some very negative reviews of games that I have received even as content review copies before. So so I try to be as honest as possible always. So with that being said, let's go into my top 10 games of 2025, and I'm going to try to keep it pretty short for each one. So this will hopefully be a shorter video. So number 10 for my top 10 of 2025 is appropriately named Tenby. So I know that that's just the name of the town that this game is based on. So this is a 2025 game for 1 to 5 players, designed and illustrated by Benji Talbot, and it's published by Mighty Boards. And the reason I love this game is because there kind of is some player interaction, and I love games with player interaction in which you are determining the turn order of selecting a card that you are then going to add to your tableau. So you're, selecting different kinds of cards, and you're trying to build up various streets that are going to score in different ways. And you're also trying to, cap off those streets with the ends so that you can score them in the end. And your streets will have different elements, and you're going to be trying to score your streets for all these various elements like light posts or pigeons and so on and so forth. And I think that the art, even though for me it leaves a little bit to be desired, it's not like my favorite type of art, but I do think that it fits the feel of this game, and it kind of fits like the location of the game that this is based on, this Welsh town. So I really enjoy this game. A few kind of downsides to this game, I would say, and which is why it got bumped all the way back to number 10, is that the scoring is kind of like a pain, especially if you're playing with a lot of players. And I believe I did play a 5-player game of this, and in the end, like, oh my god. So that kind of, takes away from the game a little bit. So maybe wouldn't recommend it at 5 players. But otherwise, if you enjoy tableau building games and you enjoy games in which you are adding things to your tableau that will then determine how you are scoring your own personal tableau, I think you will enjoy this. And I think you will enjoy it if you like to compete for, turn order and drafting things, and that just gives it a little bit of that player interaction if you are seeking that. So it doesn't seem like a fully, completely solitaire puzzle, though it will kind of feel solitaire because you're not going to really be able to see what other people's streets look like. You're not going to get up out of your seat and examine other people's streets and be like, oh, well, this person really wants this card, so I should take that. I should hate draft that card so they can't score for it. Like, you're not going to be able to do that, right? Especially if you're playing a 5-player game of this. You're not going to know what other people's streets look like and what they're scoring for. So it does become kind of a solitaire puzzle where you're just trying to get what you want, but I think that that's fine. So, in this kind of game, I think that that's okay, and that going in that that's what you are going to get, basically. So because I really enjoy tableau building games like that, I really enjoy this game, and this is a game that I purchased on my own. It was not a review copy. So that was Tenby in at number 10. In at number 9, we have A Place for All My Books, which is a 2025 game for 1 to 4 players, designed by Alex Cutler and Michael Mihalsik, and the art is done by Naomi Lord, and I absolutely love the artwork, and is published by Smirk and Dagger Games. And I backed the deluxe edition on Kickstarter, so this is not a review copy. I think I played this game about 3 or 4 times, so I absolutely loved it. I think it's a really cozy game, despite the mental, despite it being a thinky game, because you also have this whole puzzle going on in your own board where you're trying to stack books in different areas and trying to complete objectives by stacking them and moving books around. So there is a little bit of this like puzzle going on, which makes it, not a light game, but it still feels cozy because of the whole theme of the game and the vibe that it gives off. So, there's a worker placement element to this as well. So you're sending your worker into town, which, creates a little bit of player interaction because other players might take the spots you want or get what you want, and there are spaces on your own board as well where you'll be putting your workers, but overall it's, still kind of like a little bit of a solo game with your own books that you're moving around on your board. But with all the elements combined in this game, with the worker placement, the artwork, and the theme, and the puzzle, like it ended up being a really great game. I just really enjoyed it, and I think it's just a very delightful game. And yeah, so for that reason, it's number 9 on my top 10 of 2025. My number 8 game is Countryside, which is a 2025 game for 1 to 4 players, designed by Peter Prince, and the artwork is done by Alize Favier, and is published by Nanax Games. And this is a game that I purchased at Spiel Essen, and it was one of the games that was kind of high up on my list because of the art style. Like, I just absolutely was drawn to the art. It is pencil artwork, and it is absolutely really beautiful, and like they took high resolution scans and created all the cards and everything. So it's just got a unique art style, first of all. And then what makes this game unique, other than that, is the fact that it's a worker placement game, but everything you're doing is on your own board. And you have this kind of like closed economy of resources. So you have coins and baskets. So on the one side is a coin, on the other side is a basket, and you are only limited to a certain number. So everything you are doing, you are mindful of, gaining baskets or gaining coins, because you can't, take from a general supply. Everything you are doing is limited to your own board, including the actions, the workers. When you place your workers, you're doing it all on your own board, and you're trying to uncover new worker spots on your own board as well. And it's kind of like a tableau builder. So you're building up a tableau of these different kinds of cards and trying to get a really good engine going. So it does kind of feel like a solitaire game, but because the puzzle is so interesting and you have this kind of closed economy on your own player board, it's very interesting. The only kind of like little player interaction that there might be is when you are trying to draft cards and someone might discard cards that you want or might take cards that you want, that you have your eye on, because you really are trying to get like these kinds of sets of cards that will work well with each other and will produce the resources that you need. So you'll be trying to produce different things in this game, like wheat or like, grapes and so on, and converting grapes into wine and so on. So, but all of that's happening within your own little closed economy that you have, which is very interesting. So for that reason, this had to make an appearance on my list because I thought it was a very unique game, and I really enjoyed my play of this game. Like when it came down to it in the end, like I just felt like, oh my God, I just wanted one more turn and I could have done something else. And I feel like games that really leave you feeling like that, it's just really satisfying when you can like, do what you want, but then feel like you don't have enough turns to completely do what you want. Like I feel like that's a good game, and one of the signs of a good game. Like you really feel like you just needed one more turn and it could have been amazing and you could have scored all these points. Like, to me that shows that the game is not too short and not too long. So anyway, so that was my number 8 game of 2025. So my number 7 game, so firstly I want to say that it's really hard to make a list and, put the games that you enjoy the most in, a certain number slot. Like, this game maybe could have been higher on the list because I absolutely love this game and enjoyed it so much. And I specifically enjoy playing it solo, and that is Daydream, which is a 2025 game for 1 to 5 players, designed by Anthony Perrone and Benoit Turpin, and the art is done by Meme Candia, and it's published by Disto Studio. And this is a game that I purchased at Spiel Essen and was very high on my list at Spiel Essen, and I am am so glad that I got it. I've played numerous games of this solo and I absolutely love it. It's just, if you enjoy a really good roll and write and you enjoy playing roll and writes solo, highly recommend this one. Like, I think it kind of like knocked out Welcome to for me. So this game, it has multiple play modes because the boards can be arranged. The player board that you are using, it's first of all dry erase, so everyone gets a dry erase board, and it's just really beautiful. It's just really stunning, and you can arrange it in different ways so that you can play different games. Like, you can have multiple, there's multiple different games that you can play depending on how you set up the board and fold it. So absolutely love that, first of all. So you can play something a little bit easier or you can play something a lot more challenging, and the solo mode is more challenging than the multiplayer mode. And you know, for me, I think that this is a game that I would always prefer to play solo. Like, I don't really see a reason to play this multiplayer, to be honest. I mean, I guess you can, you know, the reason you might want to play it multiplayer is when people are, you know, choosing the dice and deciding where to place their numbers into these clouds or whatever. You know, you might see who did it better. Like, obviously whoever has the highest points did it better, right? But for me, that's not as important as the puzzle itself and just enjoying the experience and the artwork, and it's just a vibe. So just absolutely love Daydream. I've played it so many times solo, and it's probably like my go-to game for solo gaming now, when I just want to, you know, get my brain like, you know, active and do something, play a game, but, you know, don't want to set up a huge board. Like, this is perfect, like absolutely perfect. And I just love the artwork and just everything about it. I just love everything about it. So that is Daydream, and that was my number 7 game for 2025. My number 6 game of 2025 is Ember Heart. So this is a 2025 game designed by Rob Fisher and Adam Porter, and the art is done by Andrew Bosley, and it's published by Mind Clash Games. And this is a review copy that I received from Mind Clash. So I played this several times now, and I really enjoy it because, number one, I love worker placement games, but I really love the mechanism of like the auction bidding that determines who's, you know, going, you know, who's getting to take an action first in which area, but also you need the appropriate workers to take various actions in various areas. And the theme of this game I really enjoy. So you're rescuing dragons from poachers, which I just absolutely love. And I just love that some workers, you know, you'll gain them back after you take a certain action, but some you won't because, you know, they're grunts, and, you know, you're just really balancing, like trying to get like specialized workers, but maybe also get enough grunts so that you can get a higher number on a certain location so that you can take your turn first and gain the thing that you want first. Like, I just really love the puzzle of like just trying to figure out what I should do first and how much I should spend in like a certain location, like how many workers I should spend, you know, in order to just, you know, maximize my turn and hopefully gain the most points. It is a little bit of a puzzle in that way, but also with the player interaction, because other players are also going to be putting down workers in the same locations and maybe getting the item that you want. Like, it's just a really great worker placement game. Like, I cannot, you know, talk highly enough about it. I think that this is a game that even very seasoned gamers would enjoy, as well as very new gamers. It, you know, would be easy enough for them to learn. I think that there's like a really great amount of player interaction in this game, which keeps it really fun. And, you know, I just really, really love this game. So, you know, I think if you haven't played it, you should definitely check it out. So that is Ember Heart from Mind Clash Games. My number 5 game is Antiques, which is a 2025 game designed by Fabio Lima, and the art is done by Pedro Alberto, and it's published by Pythagoras. And this is a game that I purchased on my own. And I absolutely love this because I really love a good Mancala like mechanic in a game. And this is just such an interesting game in which you have this Mancala mechanic on your own player board in which you're trying to get these art pieces off to the side and then add them to various collections, which you're then going to exhibit in various museums. Like, there's quite a bit going on in this game, and it feels kind of like a race as well. And there is quite a bit of player interaction in this game because people are always going to take what you want, and they might leave it in the board in which you are collecting various art pieces from in such a way that you get screwed over and always have to be the one to replenish the board, which I felt like kept on happening to me. But I just really enjoy this game so freaking much. Like, there is quite a bit of player interaction with people getting the things that you want and you trying to race against, you know, other players to do it first, but you know, you're also just really trying to, you know, complete these collections and have your own little Mancala puzzle on your own player board. Like there's just quite a few mechanics that are combined in such a way that just make it like a really fun puzzle, as well as kind of like a race against the other players. Just really, really enjoy this game. Yeah, it's just a unique game, I feel like, that, you know, and it uses the Mancala mechanic in a unique way in terms of just creating those collections. I mean, you probably could have had the game without the Mancala mechanic, but it just adds an element to it that just makes it a little bit more interesting. But yeah, I just like the theme of this game as well as, you know, you're exhibiting various collections in different museums around the world and trying to gain various collection points and all of that. And yeah, and you are trying to pay attention to what other players are doing in this game as well, and trying to see what, you know, different museums that other players are trying to go for, because they might take something that you want. Just really interesting, and it's really interesting how certain things change from round to round in this game. So yeah, that is Antiques, and I would highly recommend that you check it out. My number 4 game is the White Castle Duel, which is a 2025 game designed by Isra C and Shay S, and the art is done by Joan Gardier, and it's published by Devere. And I received a review copy of this game from Devere. Now, I absolutely love this game. I really enjoy Isra C and Shay S's games. In fact, I have one right there, Flow War. I really love their designs, and I think that they did a fantastic job in creating a 2-player game that kind of gives you the same feel as the White Castle, the multiplayer one, but plays differently and can really stand on its own as just a fantastic game. And you really get player interaction in this game by the fact that as you're placing out your disc, you have to look at the color that is, you know, underneath, and that will just kind of determine what you're able to do and what you're able to get. But in the next phase of the game, when you're retrieving disc, you know, and you're trying to trigger various things on your own board, you know, the other player might take what you want, because you can take multiple discs of one color in order to try to trigger, you know, your engine and so on. So it's just a very unique, clever design in that way that plays very well. It's such a tight game. Just absolutely loved it. I think it's a very great puzzle that kind of gives you the feel of the White Castle, but plays differently enough that it really stands on its own. And I feel like there's a place to have both games in your collection for that reason. But just a fantastic game, so it obviously had to appear on my list. My number 3 game of 2025 is Oliva. So this is a game for 1 to 4 players designed by Costa and Rolla, and the art is done by Marina Costa, and is published by Pythagoras. And this is a game that I purchased and I absolutely love. So I am a huge fan of these Costa and Rolla games, like Cafe, absolutely loved the other one, Lotta, as well. But Oliva, I would rank a little bit below Cafe, but higher than Lotta. Absolutely loved Oliva, and there is a lot of player interaction in this game, because the cards you're putting out, you're going to be looking at what other players have put out as well, which will determine what you are gaining on your turns. It's just a very unique, interesting way of playing, like the way that this game works in terms of rounds and turns, just very unique. And it's going to create a lot of like player interaction where you're kind of trying to figure out what another player might put out, but also there's a bit of randomness to it as well, because when you're drawing cards, you might not necessarily get the cards you want and be able to play those cards. So while you're trying to like guess what other players might be putting down and what they might be trying to do, you're also like limited to the randomness that there is in this game. It's a deck building game, so you're also trying to make your deck better and trying to get rid of cards that are, you know, not as great and not giving you as many actions on a turn. Just such a fantastic, unique game. Highly recommend this game. Just really enjoyed my play of it and plays of it, because I've played it multiple times and I definitely want to play it more. So that is Oliva coming in at number 3. My number 2 game of 2025 is Pilgrim's Curious Adventures. So this is a game for 1 to 4 players, designed and illustrated by Radim Jurda, and is published by Pink Troubadour Games. And this is a game that I purchased at Essen, and it was quite high on my list at Essen. So in this game, you have a little pilgrim, and he's moving around on this board, and you're trying to collect companions as well as various item cards, and you're trying to create like a little bit of an engine going. So different companions will help you to maybe get extra movement movement or maybe collect extra things, and you're trying to fulfill various contracts. It's just a fun little puzzle. I just really enjoy it, and I just really enjoy like how you can maybe get new companions and maybe discard companions when they're no longer like beneficial to you, and you're trying to like compete for these various public objectives that you're also trying to compete. It's just a really fun little puzzle. Like the way that you move and the movements that you can do are based on your own board and where you decide to place your movement marker and stuff. But again, different companions will maybe grant you extra movements and stuff. It's just a fun little puzzle, but what makes it really more fun is just the really delightful artwork. Just absolutely love it. Like just really love the theme of the game as well. Just the different kinds of characters that show up and the artwork for them, just really, really delightful. So I'm really glad I picked this up. It's not by any means like, like a heavy game or a complicated game, but it's a really fun game. And I think, at the end of the day, when I play board games, I just really want to have a lot of fun. And I had a lot of fun while playing this game, like a lot of fun. And that's why it's my number 2 game of 2025. My number 1 game of 2025 is Covenant, which is designed by Germain P. Milan, and the art is done by Enrique Fernandez Pelias, and it's published by Devere. And I received a review copy of this from Devere, and I've played it a couple of times, and I absolutely love this game. Like, I just love the puzzle of this game. I just really love like how you have to re-strategize as you're playing the game because, you might not get the things that you want as you're uncovering tiles in the mountain. You're racing to place your buildings in different locations so that you can maximize the number of points you're getting. The way in which you are, taking your actions is really interesting from your own player board. Just everything about this game, like, I just feel like it's got quite a bit going on, but it just works together so well, and the puzzle of it all is just so much fun and interesting, and just trying to think through every turn. And you have all these cascading actions, so whenever you do an action, like, it can lead to you getting so many other things, and so you really have to keep track of what you're doing and what you're gaining each turn. Like, if you play a really good turn, you can gain a lot of things. And again, there is a little bit of a race element to this in order to build out the various things that you're building in the mountain, so that I really enjoy. So there is player interaction based on that, and you can really screw over other players as well in this game. So there is quite a bit of player interaction, which I really enjoy in a game. Like, obviously you don't like it when you get screwed over, but I just find those games really enjoyable when there is that kind of player interaction. It definitely doesn't feel like a solo game. And for a really, what I would classify as a heavier Euro, I enjoy that it doesn't feel like a solo game, which so many heavier Euros I feel like typically do. But this doesn't, because of that player interaction that keeps on coming up in various ways in this game. Yeah, there is an element of luck in this game based on, the tiles that are getting uncovered and so on, but that I think just makes the game good, because you don't want the same game every time you play this game. You don't want to place the tiles in exactly the same location every time you play, because then you'll know what's coming up where, and then you're not going to have to re-strategize if that were the case. So you want that randomness in a Euro like this. And I think that there are just so many paths to victory in this game, which is another, for me, I think is another sign of a really good, like, heavier Euro. So every time I play this game, I might try to go and, go through with a different path in order to try to get the most points, which I have in my plays of this game. So I really enjoy this game. For me, it's just a fantastic heavier Euro that once you learn it, it's actually quite simple, which I absolutely love about this game as well. Like, it seems like a lot when you look at the rule book, but once you actually learn what the actions are, it's actually quite simple, and it's really just about keeping track of all the different cascading actions and what you're gaining from each turn you take. But yeah, just another winner from Devere in my view, and absolutely loved it, and that's why it's my number 1 game of 2025. So making a top 10 list is so difficult. Like, there were some other games that I played, and obviously I'm not going to include every game I played in 2025 because that would be insane, but there are some other games that I really enjoyed, which I just want to mention as kind of runner-ups for my top 10. So, some games that I also really, really had fun playing and enjoyed in 2025 were Pergola, Shuffle and Swing, Ofrenda, Flow War, which is not not a 2025 game, but I played it in 2025 and absolutely loved it. It's another game from veryyy and Shay S, and just a fantastic game. Railroad Tiles, Brink, which I think is a really great worker placement game from Ivy Studio. Let's see, Ire, Children of the Sun. Like, that was a really hard decision to not add into my top 10 list, because I absolutely love Fabio Lobiano's designs and I thought that that was a fantastic game. But in the end, like, you know, the other games that I did include in my list, you know, just ranked a little bit higher for me based on replayability and other factors. Yeah, what else? And this, you know, wouldn't have appeared in my top 10 list, but it's a small game that I've enjoyed playing quite a few times, which is Graft from Ivy Studio. So it's a small box game and it's more like a filler kind of set collection game, but just really fun. But for those reasons, it didn't appear in my top 10 list, but I just really enjoyed playing that as well. But, you know, again, I've played way more games than the ones I just mentioned, and making a top 10 list is always a difficult task, but you know, that's what I came up with in the end. You know, I don't know if I have regrets, if I would move a few things around or not. Maybe I would, probably I would, maybe. It's always really hard to rank games like this, but that is my list for 2025. And let me know if you've played any of the games on my list. And if not, which ones would you want to play the most? So until next year, bye.